The next guy was the last pick of the night was Tre Tucker, the wide receiver out of Cincinnati, the Bearcats. Now, this is a guy who's played a ton of football in big games. I know that Cincinnati doesn't play the toughest schedule, but remember, they were in the playoff. And so he's played in some big games. He reminds a lot of people of Julian Edelman. He is super fast. He's crafty. He is tough. Now, he was I don't know if he was a state champion or in the state championship in Akron, Ohio. So he's a toughness of a wrestler. He's small, so he's going to get in between some of those big corners. He's super fast, so he's going to spread the field. And let's be honest, you saw last year with Davante Adams, and there was needs for speed to go out there and spread the field, and it just did not happen. So he brings all that. He's a healthy guy, sure hands, tough as nails. He's a gunner on special teams, so he's not afraid to go down and get his nose dirty and smack somebody and make tackles. But he also can return kicks and punts with his speed. This was a good pick. Now, I need to explain a couple things to you, and I hope you're listening. I questioned the pick, and I put on Twitter because I thought, again, they could have waited and got him a little lower. But I want to share a couple things with you. Again, he was higher than where they picked him on their draft board. Now, you may be saying, well, the Raiders can just say that. Well, you're right, they could, except I know these people outside of media on a private basis, and that's not the way they operate. They're integrous. They're not liars. So I certainly do. You don't have to trust me, but I certainly do believe them. But here's the other thing that Dave Ziegler was telling me. Both those young men went to the Senior Bowl. So the Raiders were able to get significant time with them, one-on-one time, coaching time with them that you don't get with most prospects. And they fit the same mold of a Michael Mayer and a Tyree Wilson. They're hard practicers. They love the game of football. They play at a brutally tough level. They're guys that money's not going to change them. They have high football IQs. So again, if you don't trust the Raiders, and that's fine, you can go trust a media guy, and that nothing wrong with that. But I trust the people who I know. And again, Tre Tucker was another guy talking to people around the league. They really liked him, thought he was a really good player. And again, every evaluation the Raiders had is what I heard. I heard not one negative on him or Mayer. But I was interesting to me because they have a bevy of wide receivers. Why do you go get a guy with the exact same skill set as Hunter Renfrow and some of the other receivers that they signed this offseason? And now it gets us into the next issue. Many of you know I broke the story a few months ago that I was hearing from around the NFL that people were calling the Raiders interested in trading for Hunter Renfrow, and that while the Raiders weren't shopping, they were listening. I've been hearing that more and more. It's heating up. I don't believe that the Raiders were desirous to get rid of Hunter Renfrow, and I'm not sitting here right now saying they are. But I believe that's coming into more focus, and I can tell you now that I will be surprised if Hunter Renfrow is not traded. Before I told you I was 50-50. Now I'm telling you I will not be surprised. So if you move up and you get a guy or excuse me, stay where you're at and get a guy in Tre Tucker that some of the other people may say they had lower on their board, but you spent a lot of time with him. You know him, you know his ethic, you know it fits you perfectly. And he reminds you of a Julian Edelman. And remember what Josh McDaniels did with Julian Edelman. And you think, okay, there's a possibility that I'm going to get rid of Hunter Renfrow. This makes sense. Now, if they don't trade Hunter Renfrow, I'm going to be really blunt with you. They went and got a great athlete and all that, but I think it was a mistake. But if Hunter does go, I think it was a good move. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that that's coming. And if you choose not to, that's fine. I'm going to. And so assuming that Hunter gets traded, I'm going to give this Tucker pick again. If Hunter gets traded, I'm going to give it a solid B.